As I laid in the bed yesterday evening, a moment of reflection crossed my mind. I thought about what happened previously when I was in my son's room. It was time for him to take his first state test. And I had asked him, I asked him if he was in his room. And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm getting ready to go to the room, but I don't know what link to click on." And I could feel the tension in the air, his frustration as he was trying to figure out what to do because the only thing he had on his planner was a link to his teacher's Zoom room that was at 10 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Central. So it was now 1:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Central. And so he's like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know." And I said, I could feel myself going down this path with him. And I told him, I said, "Look at the email, Cam, look at the email," thinking like, okay, you waited this long, where's the link? And I'm thinking somehow the link must be on his planner, but it wasn't. And then we went to the email, didn't really see anything. And then he was standing up at the time. He said, "Just click on the 10 o'clock Zoom link." And I could feel that shift in my son's from frustration to a moment of clarity, to a moment of control, a moment of self discipline. And sure enough, we clicked on the link and it was the proper link. He was a couple minutes late in his class, but it was the right link. It really had not gotten, started in the class. She hadn't gotten started, his teacher. But at the moment, I didn't tell him about it. He just continued and prepared for his test, and we got him in. But yesterday evening, I thought about, wow, we've been talking about self discipline. Self discipline is at the root of many things in our life, our successes, inventions, our businesses, our, you know, um, getting that right the cooking done perfectly, getting the dress sewn perfectly, getting that right word on paper, putting something together. um, it's a process, self-discipline. And that's one of the things that I have told my children. It's a process. It's something you continually work towards. There is a Bible verse actually, that you're probably aware of, Proverbs 25:28. And it says, "A man without self control is like a city broken into and left without walls." Without self control, we are at the mercy of temptation, at the mercy of our emotions and our feelings, at the mercy of the day if we don't control how we feel and what we do. Have some form of control. It's not about becoming a robot, but it's about more of aligning with the highest version of ourselves to do that work that is being required of us in that moment. I've talked about how our purpose is more than just one actual thing that we're working to, but it's a process of things that continues to evolve us into the beings that we are, evolve our personality. Because I believe part of our earthly journey is aligning our personality with our spirit. And so self discipline, again, is the core of everything we do. It's when you look at the definition, and like I said, when we're talking about words every week, virtues, and we've been doing this over a year now, and we've made it to the word of, or actually a little bit under a year, and we've made it to self discipline. And one of the sentences when I was reading it over again, it says, "It is doing what you really want to do rather than being tossed around by your feelings like a leaf in the wind." And I could feel my son being tossed around. I could feel myself being tossed around. I could feel, my daughter when she's being tossed around about what she wants to do. and what she needs to do. I could literally feel that moment. It was pivotal. That in self discipline, you act instead of react. You get things done in an orderly and efficient way. And with self discipline, you take control of your life. And that's one of the major things that I've been trying to not only talk to my children about, but in modeling that behavior. Catching myself. My son and I are supposed to be working on a script. One of the ideas that he had when we were homeschooling, a movie idea, and so we actually submitted it to a short, just a short writing of it to his teacher, and had really good input. And I've been, diverting. I've been kind of doing other stuff, catching up with this, catching up with that. And we talk and cross talking, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I said, you know what? This is it. We have to do this. We have to. And my husband actually said the words, you have to finish what you started. And self-discipline is about finishing what you started, and I think about now, didn't know I was going to say it, but isn't that what Jesus said? He said, it is finished. You finish what you start. And so I believe that everything is already created, has already been done. And it's a matter of us just playing it through, going through the motions to do the work that's already been done, if that makes sense. Do the work that's already been done. And so it's almost like if you ever felt like, you're doing something and you get this deja vu, like, I feel like I've done this before. Or this is a perfect fit. I've done that with cooking, or how I place my books in a certain order, or a word that I type or write down. This is like, it's like it just kind of fits like a key and a perfect lock. And so I said, Cam, this is it. We're going to do this. We're going to, for the next 10 days, we're going to flesh out these screens and we're going to write them. And it's amazing how, as a parent, you think that your children are going to be like, oh, mom, oh, I don't want to do it. And granted, I've had those conversations with my children. But it's amazing how you see the, oh, mom, I don't want to do it, to them getting into it and really appreciating and making your bond stronger, your parent child bond stronger, when you hold not only them accountable, but you hold yourself accountable and say, we're going to do this as a team. We're going to work on this together. And so it went from, to how, my son, how long is this going to take, to, the 10 minutes was up and he's still talking about stuff. Right. And so we practice self-discipline when we wake ourselves up, when we address and we manage our emotions, instead of yelling, instead of getting frustrated, pause for a moment and say, okay, what do I need to do in this moment? I could feel my emotions rising. I could feel anger and anxiety knocking on my door. I could feel frustration. But as anything, the truth is what kind of pushes those emotions to the side. And the truth is that we have the ability, we can manage our emotions and feelings. We can build strong walls of of principles, of virtues. We can empower ourselves to not fall down when or get you know in disarray, because we feel like things are falling apart, or we feel like we don't know our first steps. But to really sit quietly and to come with ourselves and inside of ourselves and say, okay, what do I need to do now? It was pivotal, you guys, if you could have heard it, how it just, the truth is that matter of fact. If you heard that matter of fact voice, it was almost as if he had that come inside of him, or actually from it to come from the inside out. And it was exactly what we needed to unlock the door to him getting into the room and taking his test. And so when people say, I was looking at the definition of self discipline, and I was reading something and it said that self discipline is about having the willpower. The willpower. And when I think about that, it's like forcing yourself to be a certain way. And I believe self discipline stands on some three major sub concepts, if you will. And the first one is, of course, believing in yourself, believing that you have the power to master yourself, believing that you have the power to control yourself, believing that you have those tools inside of you, that nothing masters you, nothing has to master you. You are the one to be the master of it, to have dominion over your emotions, to have dominion over your feelings, to have dominion over how much you eat, to have dominion over what you say, to have dominion on how you express yourself, to have dominion over really clearing the way and understanding what it is you are to do in that moment. I believe that another concept is valuing yourself, believing that you are worth self discipline, self control, believing that you are worth the peace that underlies, that is there when you practice self control, self discipline, that you deserve to have that inner stillness, that you don't have to fall apart when things around you have are not in place, right? That there is a way of figuring things out, that you value your body, you value your mind, you value your spirit, you value the highest version of yourself. And that's what you set your mind on, that I can do this. Believing that you have something inside of you that can keep you, believing that your life is worth something, that you have meaning, that you have purpose. And the third major sub concept, I believe, of self discipline is trusting yourself. You know, Often we experience situations where we may have not made the best judgment, or we've allowed people to do certain things to us or say certain things to us. And, we feel like, because of that error, that we, you know, that trust kind of gets holes in it, right? It's not that safety net that you once felt that you had. And the biggest thing is remembering that that safety net can be rebuilt, that you can trust yourself to make the right decisions, that you can trust yourself in carrying out those right decisions, you know. So I just believing in yourself, valuing yourself, and trusting yourself are so critical to self discipline. I believe that as a mother, my job when it comes to self-discipline and creating a generational love cycle is basically keeping my word, because again, whatever we teach or remind people of, we confirm it or affirm it in ourselves. And so keeping my word with Cam and Kayla. Kayla wants to do a book. Cam wants to, work on this. He wants to have this movie, work on this movie. And I said, no matter what happens, we are going to do this every day. We're going to put effort in it. And so by me saying that, I'm holding myself accountable. And also to, you know, making a time out of a day that we do the work. I find out, that's one of the things about self discipline is that what is the best time to do it? I would always ask my clients, the people that would work on and achieving their goals, when is your best time for it? And I told Cam, I said, you know what? We're going to do this in the morning, because the longer the day goes, the more stuff that come into play, whether going to the store or his friend calling or him wanting to play with his sister or watch a movie. And so the best time for us to really do this is right after breakfast, because we have that space, right? It's that space before noon. And so when it comes to self discipline, it's so important to realize, what's your best time for doing stuff. And then also to helping to not only keep your children accountable, but keep yourself accountable and marking that time as nothing else. My mom called and I said, no, this is important. We're going to get this done because we have other stuff to do, hence your script. I think also to, holding our children accountable for what they say they want to do, reminding them this is what you want to do. So I am here to support that. And so self discipline, remember, it's all about these seeds that we sow, is all about sowing it at home, sowing these seeds at home. So when our children grow up, the Bible verse, train your child in the way he should go. When he gets older, he won't depart from it. And I believe it's so true in my life and in listening to my mother's life principles and, and making those part of my foundation to help me with self-discipline, to help me with self-control, and to use these virtues to help build the walls for our children, walls of goodness, not walls of, thinking you're better than anyone else, but walls that are necessary in life, because there are so many different temptations out there to eat more, to be less active, these games, these video games, these tablets. I get it. I get it, how easy it can make your life as a parent. But what will they have gained as an adult? Create a generational love cycle is about basically replacing the thoughts that have led us along this path of greed, of discrimination, of disvaluing others, demoralization, dehumanization, of controlling others, and really put more focus on controlling ourselves, because that's what we're here to control, is ourselves, to have that self-control, to have that self-discipline, to represent that in earth, in along our earthly journey, not in controlling others, because often people that want to control others are lacking or not having self-control. They feel out of control. And so I feel like if we can, as parents, if we can really talk to our children about these virtues, self discipline and things that I've discussed, if we can do that, if we can talk to them and have that conversation and be that role model and give examples and reinforce. I got up out of my bed last night and I went into Cam and I told him, I said, Cam, I saw how you went from one frustration to more of self-control. And he was listening. He was quiet. And he turned around and he just kind of pondered, he was there listening where I could see the wheels flowing. And I praised him. I said, you went from, because we've been talking about that. We've been talking about how, I don't want him to be a stereotype of this light-skinned guy that has an attitude, an anger problem. I want people to see more than just his color. I want them to see his character. I want them to see the God within him through his expression, his actions, his thoughts, his words. And so I thought last night, I told him, was a pivotal moment for you, where you just kind of stopped what you were doing and automatically just came out, just click on the link, so calm. And I was so thankful to tell him that, because part of any virtue, anything that we discuss, if we can use those moments to reinforce what we're saying, to make our children aware of their actions and their reactions, and just link these virtues, around and around, building this wall of discipline, building this wall of self-control. So when they're older, they will express more of this instead of what we've been dealing with: the hatred, the discrimination, the lack of self control, obesity and cancer and diabetes and all of these other chronic preventative health conditions. Self discipline affects every area in our lives. And if we can teach it at home, if we can role model it, if we can affirm it in ourselves, we are creating that generational love cycle. We're creating it from the inside out. This is Tamika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. And today I've discussed the seeds we sow, and I've talked about self discipline. And it's so easy. People say it's so easy to talk about, but it's another thing to do. And I think it's just one day at a time, one moment at a time, and really making ourselves aware of not only what we're doing and saying, but also of what our children are doing and saying. Taking that time to talk to them, talk with them, not talk at them, but talk with them, to conversate, to hear them, hear what they're saying, to see what they're doing, and to hold them as well as ourselves accountable. As a parent, we are teachers. And as a parent, we are students. We learn. It is a reciprocal relationship that we have with our children, a challenging opportunity to become the highest versions of ourselves and help our children do the same. On Mondays, I usually do a check in on and Fulfill Your Divine Purpose Facebook, where we talk about heart to heart issues. As you know, Mondays, per research, they say is one of the days that Monday is the main day, one of the days that we people often experience cardiac events. And cardiac events are more than just the food that we eat. It's more than just the physical activity we do, but all those things that we take on the inside and gets through our nervous system and through our organs, including our heart, and are directly communicating with our heart. Our worth, our value, and who we are, and our life, and does it have meaning? Again, fulfilling our purpose is not about this one thing, but it's a process of things that we do each and every day to help us evolve to the highest version of ourselves. Until next time, take care of yourself. And as always, make this lifetime great, because no matter what, I believe you are here. You are alive for reasons. And part of that is learning from life, and an opportunity, multiple chances to continue to grow, to learn. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.